What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Packers. Got that fresh Sterling Sharp jersey up on the wall back there looking clean. We're looking clean as a whistle, Tim.
They need to hang it up on the wall in Canton, Ohio when they put him in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I'm happy. I got a good deal on it too, man. Awesome.
Yeah. Need to get that guy in the hall, no doubt about it.
For sure, man.
No doubt about it.
He deserves it.
Yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's get this party started and give a big shout out to the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since '92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source with offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. Click on the link in the video description that'll send you to theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for those Packers tickets. Again, that's Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. So here's the deal, gang. I can barely hold my eyes open. Me and Tim were laughing. I yawned probably 6 times while we were prepping for the show here. So we're going to try to get through this. I am wore out. Finally hit that wall from traveling all night and watching high school football yesterday. So I think we're catching a little bug. You can probably hear it in the voice as well. So we're going to get through this one and then call it a night. I will be asleep by 10 o'clock Eastern time. I promise you. So, Tim, you wouldn't know nothing about that, would you, man?
No, not at all. Are you kidding? That's what old people do. They fall asleep, right?
Just get you a nice stogie and call it a night, right? That's just the way it goes. So
here's the guy.
All right, we're going to finish up our PFF deep dive, I guess you could say. What we've been doing, gang, if you haven't caught on, we've been going through the PFF grades across each position group in the NFL and kind of seeing, all right, where do the Green Bay Packers specific players at those position groups kind of come in line? Where do they rank, essentially, right? To kind of give you a better idea of, okay, here's what PFF thinks the Packers have in terms of overall talent and depth at each of those positions. So we're going to finish that by hitting on the safety group. And then we're going to also hit on some tendencies, some team statistics, that type of thing. What we're trying to do is take a look at the first half of the season and kind of get a real good idea. Okay, here are the players that are playing well. Here are the players that are playing bad. Here's where the Packers' shortcomings are. Here's where they're succeeding at. And just really a self-scout this week is what we've been doing. Obviously, tomorrow's NFL Sunday, so you're going to have all the NFL slates, and then we're getting right back into game week, which I'm really, really excited about. We'll be doing Chalk Talk Tuesday. We might be doing a Chalk Talk on Monday as well, because we're going to break it down into best offensive plays of the first half of the season and best defensive plays of the first half of the season. Tim, I came up with 24 offensive plays. We can't do 24, bro. So I'm trying to.
Didn't I say that offline? I was like, you ain't going to get this under 25 plays.
It was tough. So the criteria we're going to kind of use is we're going to go running plays of 30 yards or more, unless it was like a touchdown run that was really, really cool, right? And we're going to make sure we get the passing plays that are 50 yards or more, and then sprinkle in some of the other passing plays as well. But we got pretty much everybody represented. Jaden Reed is all over the tape, as you might imagine. We got a little Emmanuel Wilson in there. We got a little Malik Willis. We've got several Tucker Crafts. Obviously, Josh Jacobs in there 3 or 4 times. We got some Dobbs tape as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. So once we do that, we'll jump into the defensive side. But, again, I had to go through and chart and find all 24 of those plays. We'll try to get down to 15, maybe 16 plays as the goal. So awesome. We'll be doing that on probably Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the injury report hits. We'll start prepping for the Bears and get ready for more Packer football. So I'm excited. Is there anything you want to hit on right off the top here, Tim, before we dive into the show?
No, nothing super pertinent. Bye week, kind of take a little break, catch up on some film. I'm looking forward to next week going over this Chalk Talk that you've been working so diligently on. But it'll be fun too to break down the Bears matchup. But right now, I think we should just keep doing the deep dive. Do our homework.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. The chat's lit up, man. We got AFAM in the house. We got Eric Sutherland, United Bates, Prince, Isaiah. Good to see you, Isaiah. Yes, Isaiah says, glad to be here. Hoping for a great bye week. Go, Pack, go. Appreciate you swinging through, buddy. Thank you for swinging through, dropping by. And Daryl in the chat says, I like this live chat. Puts my mind on something else as long as this is mostly about the Green Bay Packers organization. There you go, man. We try to keep it
mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly. Hang around. Uncle Eric will help you out in the chat.
we try to keep it on football, and we try to stay off of politics. I want everybody to know, I don't care who you vote for, you're welcome to hang out with us. The main thing is don't get in here insulting people, right? We try to, if it starts up in the chat, we try to overlook it. But once it goes to the point where it's like, okay, everybody's arguing now, we got to get in there and start issuing timeouts and everything. So we do pretty good, though. We got awesome listeners. So thanks for swinging through, Daryl. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man. As he says, LOL, heck with politics. But we have all got our feel on that. That's for sure. This election season. So
Bates says Eric just perked up. LOL.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here's a guy.
You think this is going to be a calm chat tonight? I don't think so. Not going to happen. So but let's just dive into it. First things first, we got a Patreon question that came in earlier from our good buddy Nebraska Rev. It might be more of a comment than a question, but here's what Nebraska Rev said. If I can keep my eyes open long enough to read it here, it says, "Hi all, I love the Friday episode going through the offensive PFF grades. Clayton, you brought up that PFF may not understand our blocking schemes because our linemen grade so low on run blocking, yet the grade Zach Tom very high in run blocking. Is there something about the interior blocking scheme that is different than what they are asking Zach Tom to do? It may be a way to prove or disprove your theory about PFF not understanding the scheme. Otherwise, we can't say Tom is good because PFF gives him an 85, but Myers is not a 45 because PFF doesn't understand the scheme." Personally, I think you're on to something. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever have an answer to that question, Rev, to be honest with you, man. Now, when you got to look at it on a play-by-play basis. That's the main thing. And we're just all we're all assuming and hoping that PFF truly is looking at every play and coming up with a reason that they're grading the players. I have no reason to believe they don't do that. But I think what you hit on there is some smoke to the fire as far as the interior offensive linemen and what they're asked to do. Now, I want to back up a second. When you say, well, you can't say that Zach Tom's a good player and Josh Myers is a bad player, I don't see hardly any tape of Zach Tom making mistakes, right? But when you turn on the tape with Josh Myers, you see him whiff on blocks in the run game, right? So that's the only little bit of pushback I would give you there. Same thing with Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan is playing a lot better this year than he ever has in his short career. But you see him get out there and whiff on blocks. You see him get out of place and get beat on certain plays. So, when you take those into consideration, I think Drew said it on the morning show there on Good Morning Lambeau with us. He said something along the lines, I believe it was Drew, it's more about consistency with PFF. You're not going to find a more consistent player than Zach Tom, right? And Josh Myers, you definitely see some inconsistencies there. There's no doubt about that. Another player that's taken a dip this year is Elton Jenkins. We kind of talked about that when we were going over the offensive line. I don't know what's up there, but he definitely doesn't look like he's playing as good as he has in the past. But, Tim, you want to add anything to that? Did that trigger any thoughts for you there from Nebraska Rev here, man? You're muted, brother. Sorry.
My bad. I do think it's a great point, and I do agree with Rev that you're onto something here, and I agree with you that we're never going to know what the hell PFF's formula is. We're just going to keep looking at the grades. But I think you touched on something with Big E, man. When you think about consistency on our O-line in the last 2 seasons, really, I mean, you think about Elton Jenkins and you think about Zach Tom, right? And I don't know if maybe the move over to center has kind of thrown a wrench into things. He looked a little rusty at center, hasn't played a lot of center as a pro. I think he did a little bit during his rookie season for us, possibly. But I don't know, maybe it's just the bumps and bruises of a career. I mean, you do anything long enough, you're gonna have some inconsistency. You're gonna have some bad days. I don't think it's panic mode when it comes to Elton Jenkins. I've said it before, I'll say it again. And I'm almost positive Elton would agree with me. I prefer him at left guard. Center is something that he can bring to the table when we need that to happen. But you see, it kind of throws our our O-line out of whack as a whole. And really what you're looking for is consistency across the board from your O-line. And a lot of times that comes from guys playing together and guys trusting each other and tandem blocking. Everybody does their job. The minute you start moving pieces around or you got to pull guys in and out, that can lead to inconsistency across the board. Obviously, Zach Tom being the kind of the exception to the rule. But even with Zach Tom this year, we've seen some things that we don't see from him often, like foolish penalties and things like that. So I think it's just part of the game. I don't think it's an indictment on either one of those guys as players. And again, like we always say, PFF is not the holy grail. It's not everything. It's just a metric that we like to use when we compare film and everything else that we look at. So I don't think it's panic mode yet with Elton Jenkins or the O-line as a whole. I'm looking forward to seeing Josh hopefully back here against the Bears so we can go down to Chicago and do what we always do and get a little boat race happening down there at Soldier Field. So
yeah,
hopefully this O-line comes back together.
Yeah, and listen, no matter how much you think the Packers may or may not be better than the Bears, it's I think it is the oldest rivalry in the NFL. If there's a game that both of those teams are going to be up for, it's going to be that game.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't just overlook it. I know there's a good portion of the fan base that likes to pretend like the Bears are just absolutely horrible. The reality is I think they're fifth in takeaways this year as a defense.
Yep.
All it takes is them to get hot in one game, get a couple takeaways, and now you're on your heels, right? And if they can press into the run while you're trying to get caught up with the pass, that's the recipe for losing a ball game that you should probably win. So, I'm really excited for them to get down to Chicago, and obviously the history around that rivalry is just great, man.
You're right, man. The guys get tuned up for these type of games. I mean, look at last year. You had Bakhtiari with his knee hanging by a thread, everything he could to get ready for week one because it was Bears week, and he left it all out there. That was I believe the last game he played for us.
Yeah.
But we'll always have Chicago. That was a great week one matchup there for sure. But yeah, guys literally will let adrenaline and that rivalry just pump them up, carry them through. So I think we'll get the best of both teams, especially with the Pack coming off a bye. And then obviously the Bears being at home 2 weeks in a row, they're comfortable not having to travel. So it'll be a good game.
Yeah. And what a way to go out then to flip off the Bears crowd.
Yeah.
Literally.
My favorite was when he was on the sideline waving at him. Remember that one?
Looked like a calendar pose or whatever. It's absolutely awesome, man. Love to see it. All right, let's see here. Eric Sutherland, I think United Bates asked him about his son, and Eric with the update there says, Bates, we're doing. Boy's getting better a little more every day. Thanks for asking, brother. Yeah, thoughts and prayers to you and the family there, Eric. I know sound like your son was dealing with some stuff, so he's going to be just fine, brother. And we appreciate you hanging out with us as always.
Absolutely.
Daryl in the chat says, I know people have been talking a lot about Jaden Reed. I know he's only 5'11", but the dude plays taller than that when he leaps up in the air to snatch the ball out of the air. Man, Jaden Reed plays like he's 6'10". The thing that stuck out to me the most, and I agree, Eric says God is good. Amen to that, bro. Last year, the thing that stood out to me about Jaden Reed, Tim, was like there was never a moment that was too big for him. There was never he could have dropped a pass with the game on the line or, a fourth quarter pass, whatever it may be. And you go, he's a rookie. It's going to happen. But it just seemed like last year, man, Jaden Reed he always made the play, and it's carrying over into this year. There's no doubt as he's leading the Packers in receiving again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I normally don't like to do the prediction stuff. We've always talked about that. But I remember meeting Bird last year, man, and I told him to his face, you're going to be a star. You're going to be a star. And it's starting to happen right now. He's certainly a star on this team. And working his way up the ranks league-wide, being considered a top-tier receiver at some point. I think it's coming. The respect will be there. But you're right, man. A lot of it with him is, obviously the hands. Hands have continued to improve. I mean, listen, every receiver is going to have drops. What you're looking for is that not to last consistently throughout the year. And as long as you're catching more than you're dropping and you're not having multiple drop games multiple weeks in a row, I don't think it's a major issue. Not to mention, a lot of times defenders, they get paid too, and they make a hell of a play on the ball. And, it's not always on the receiver why the catch isn't made. But I think with Jaden Reed, man, one of the things, when you talk about him getting up there and high pointing it, it's his timing. He knows he's not the tallest dude out there, but he has the technical ability to just know when to leave the ground and to get up there and high point that football. And that's why you'll see him go up over guys that, he's given up 4 or 5, 6 inches, in both height and vertical. And he's just got it better timed. So he's a spark plug, man. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah, and again, he was all over the tape. Like, of those 24 plays, let's see if I can find how many he was involved in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the 24 were Jaden Reed plays.
Yep.
And I mean, it was just like, I can't. No, I got to include that one. It's just, he's a playmaker, man, no doubt about it. What a great draft pick by Brian Gutekunst, obviously. So
thanks, Goody.
Yep, crushed it again. All right, let's
no big deal.
Let's talk the safety position here, Tim. We hit on all the other PFF grades from every other position. Let's talk safety for a second. As the Green Bay Packers, this is definitely I think it's their strongest position group. Some would say the running back group might be stronger. But for me personally, I think some would say the offensive line from a pass blocking standpoint might be stronger or might be the strongest. But to me, man, the way these safeties have played has just been phenomenal, especially going from last year. We had 2 of the lowest graded safeties in the league. And then all of a sudden, bang, you go out, you sign Xavier McKinney, you draft Evan Williams and Javon Bullard. Evan Williams seems to be the big hit. I think Javon Bullard still has an opportunity to be a hit. But when you look at the PFF grades across the league, right, and go through and look at all the safety, and these are with the minimum requirements, right? So obviously it's going to filter out some of the noise. But the top safety in the league right now is Kirby Joseph for the Detroit Lions.
Boo.
These at a 90.7. The second highest graded safety is Brian Branch of the Detroit Lions, 90.0. The third highest graded safety is Xavier McKinney.
Here we go. There it is.
At an 89.5. And then fourth, you've got Evan Williams at an 87.4. So I just realized the top 2 are Detroit Lions and 3 and 4 are Green Bay Packers.
Because the NFC North is the best division in the league, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's wild to think about. And when you look at what they do well, according to PFF, coverage grade for Xavier McKinney, 89.7. And really, when you look at Evan Williams, man, he does everything good. Like, Xavier McKinney's run fit grade, his run defense grade is a 71.9, which isn't bad at all. Don't get me wrong. But with Evan Williams, run defense, 81.4, coverage grade, 80.5. The dude is just so well-rounded. It's fun. I mean, you have 2 potential Pro Bowl caliber players at the safety positions. And you guys know the safety, we talk about this a lot, the safety position room, it's very, very interchangeable now. You want to have 2 safeties that can play both in the box and can play post safety so you can really mix and match that rotation on who's going to play deep and who isn't. You've seen a whole lot of sugaring going on from Xavier McKinney, mugging the line of scrimmage and then dropping deep downfield in that post safety position. So pretty cool stuff. Now, listen, Evan Williams only 231 snaps, but still, that's a healthy enough sample size to say, hey, this dude can play. And Tim, I have all the faith in the world in him because every time we've seen him, man, training camp, he was on fire. Preseason, he was on fire. And then carrying right into the regular season when he got his opportunity, dude's playing with his hair on fire. So what do you think about these safeties? Does that catch you off guard? Because, again, the Detroit thing really caught me off guard. But that's pretty wild that the top 4 safeties in the league are all 4 in the NFC North, part of the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop. But no, this is great. And seeing X and Evan up there, at 3 and 4 gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of joy to see that our boys. I think Evan Williams. We just talked about Jaden Reed, right? A guy that came into the league as a rookie and was just crushing it. And that's what Evan Williams has been doing this year for us on the defensive side of the ball. And it feels like there's nothing that he can't do. Obviously, he wouldn't tell you that. He'll probably tell you there's always things he can work on, like all the great players do. And the scary thing when you think about a guy like Evan Williams is I don't even think we've seen his best football at the NFL level yet. And he's probably going to continue to get better playing back there with McKinney. and in this Halfley system. So I'm excited. I want to see him healthy, and hopefully can stay in the lineup down the stretch, because we are a better defense with him back there. Can we get the job done without him? Yeah, but it's gonna be a little bit more of an uphill battle without Evan Williams out there. So I think he's a great compliment too. If you even just look at the prototypical safety build, like you're saying, what you're expecting, McKinney to do versus Evan Williams. And dude, Evan Williams is, he's built for that position, for what we're asking him to do. You talk about a guy who can come down in the box, a guy who could probably run and play in the slot if we needed him to, a guy who can be on the back end. You're right. He can play that post. He can come up in those run fits, and, he's a great tackler. Probably one of the better tackling safeties we've seen for a while in Green Bay. So just nothing but excitement for Evan Williams being on this team. I love it.
Yeah, and you could see when the coaching staff really thought, okay, this kid gets it. Like week 2, he didn't play any snaps week 1. Week 2, he played 20 snaps. Week 3, he played 4 snaps. Week 4, he played 10 snaps. And they said, you know what, let's put him out there. Week 5, he played, 78 snaps, all 78 snaps. Then week 6, he drops back to 38. Week 7 jumps back up to 63. And then
week 8, the injury, right?
Yeah, week 8, he got hurt and only 18 snaps. So obviously we're expecting him back. Hopefully he'll be back for the Chicago game. Although if they're still a little iffy on it, that would be a game you would want him to sit out and let him rest up a little bit, right, and take advantage of an extra week there. But
you think we'll see KT Oladapo at all?
I don't know, man. To me, it just feels like where he started, with the toe injury in the offseason. To me, it feels like he was so far behind. They're like, okay, there's no reason to try to rush him into the lineup. Let's just use him on special teams and let him kind of get his footing there. Sure. That's what it feels like to me. Now, I wouldn't rule anything out because, again, this shows you right here. They weren't expecting Evan Williams to be a starter. And by week 5, it's like, hey, all right, he's ready. Let's put him out there. So, let's see here. Now, I did want to talk about where he lines up, he being Evan Williams. He has 148 snaps as the post safety, the free safety, which is the safety opposite side of the tight end, all right? He has 43 snaps in the box, 13 on the defensive line, meaning he's actually mugging between the tackles, all right? 27 in the slot cornerback position. So you're seeing a lot of versatility there from Evan Williams, and they're not afraid to play him as that post-free safety for sure. And again, when they do that, that allows Xavier McKinney to move around a lot, right? I mean, like we've seen the play against Minnesota where they ran the little it was kind of a go in a corner attached with Aaron Jones, and you could see that Xavier McKinney was kind of playing that hook curl, and he recognized the route, jumped it, and picked the pass off there against the Vikings as they were trying to hammer that corner route into Aaron Jones. Evan Williams and Javon Bullard being able to play post safety allows Xavier McKinney to kind of play down there in the box like that and play a part of that rotation. And, if let's say Javon Bullard was out there and they didn't think he could do that, then you would probably throw Xavier McKinney at post safety. And I just can't say that I believe Javon Bullard or Evan Williams reads that play the way that Xavier McKinney did and picks that pass off, right? I know we still went on to lose the game, but still it was just a great performance there on that pick. So it's cool to see Evan Williams playing with so much versatility, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's really, really awesome that he's got that in his bag because I didn't expect it. When I turned on the college tape, what I seen was he was a human meat missile, as Jacob likes to say. Yep. And you didn't see him a lot in coverage. Now, they say if you go back 1 year, he's all over the tape. Before he went to Oregon, he was all over the tape in pass coverage. And obviously he can do it because I think in training camp he had like 5 interceptions or something crazy and then had an interception in preseason as well. So
yeah, and the thing to think about with him too is, the FBI is there and the ability to learn. Like you said, as far as like sniffing plays out, you don't anticipate a rookie to really have a full grasp right away of NFL speed and what's going on out there and anticipation when it comes to these plays. But we've got 2 rookies on this team that are learning very quickly, and Evan Williams is one of them, and Edrin Cooper is the other. Guys that are just, they almost kind of know where it's going to be before it happens. And, you see that with McKinney. McKinney's been around. This is not his first rodeo. So when you see guys come into the league that are, maybe making mistakes a little bit earlier, maybe they didn't grasp certain concepts early, which would probably point to why Evan Williams didn't start sooner this season. But from the moment they put him out there, I mean, he's starting to grasp things. And I think, that'll be something we'll be talking about as he develops as a player, is his football intelligence for sure.
Yeah. Nate in the chat says, what's Evan Williams' college story and where did we draft him? Wondering what our scout team saw that others maybe missed. So with Evan Williams, I believe he played, and I could be wrong, but I think he played at like Fresno State, something like that, and ended up transferring to Oregon. And like I said, the tape the year before he goes to Oregon, everybody said you could see the pass defense. And I didn't watch that tape. Okay, I just seen all the Oregon tape. Or a good chunk of the Oregon tape. So at Oregon, what you noticed was he was a really good run defender. And if there's a game you want to watch, what you want to watch is go watch Oregon play Caleb Williams and the USC Trojans their final year, last year, right? And Evan Williams single-handedly just disposed of Caleb Williams in that game. Every time Caleb tried to tuck that ball, it felt like Evan Williams was spying him. And I think he forced at least one fumble of Caleb Williams as well. That's the game I would say, okay, if you want to see what he did in college, go watch that USC-Oregon game from last year. Now, as far as where the Packers took him, I'm trying to think of where they drafted him. Do you remember exactly where they drafted him, Tim? I can't remember right off the bat. Matter of fact, it might be right here, though. Let me check.
I know we traded up for him, right?
Yeah, 4th round. Yeah.
Fourth round.
That's what I was getting at is, many people had him much lower than that, and all of a sudden the Packers trade up for him. What that tells you is they had a higher grade on him than where they were currently picking. So they're willing, okay, look, let's go get him and use that pick right now. They seen something in him. Now, as far as his draft story, what I've heard is the interviewing process he knocked out of the freaking park. And then when you hear him talk in press conferences and stuff, he just seems extremely intelligent. He seems like an us guy, not a me guy, right? And
probably a high Wonderlic score.
Yeah, I guarantee it. So he just seems like he gets it. And just another thing too is like he's not an energy vampire. You'll hear coaches and staff members talk about that. He's not one of these guys that when he's having a bad day, he's going to drag everybody else down, right? We call that an energy vampire, meaning when you're down, you just pull everybody down with you, rather than when you're not playing your best, hey, look, shake it off. Last play don't even matter. You got to get back out there. He seems to have that trait. There's no doubt about it. So
almost like the last guy that wore 33 in Green Bay, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Micah Hyde, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember earlier in the year too, he forced a fumble. Evan Williams punched the ball out. I think Jair recovered it, and they all ran down to the end zone to celebrate. Well, they go to the end zone to celebrate. Evan Williams went straight to the bench. He didn't even – no big deal. That's what we're supposed to do, right?
He said, Jair's got the celebration handled. Don't worry.
And Jair came over to him on the bench and was like, hey, man, listen, you go down there. You got to go with us, all right? And it was just cool. That's just – I think that's another example of probably how he crushed the interviewing process. Is they, you can pick up on, you guys know what I'm talking about. You get a new hire at your job, or if you're running a business and you are interviewing people, if you've got a group of 5 or 10 guys, there's going to be 1 or 2 that you go, they seem mature, energetic, and excited about the opportunity, right? But also you can tell they're not going to look for, hey, I need a reward. I need a pat on the back when I do something well. They're self-motivated, right? That's one of the keys to adding to a business team. I'll tell you that. With my experience is I used to love when I would recruit people, I would ask, are you self-motivated? My first question I'd ask them, Tim, and I'd say, did you ever play any kind of team sports? And whether they said yes or no, it didn't matter to me, right? If they said yes, my response would be, well, that's great, because with what we do, we've got a very big team environment, right? And it matters how you work with other people. We want someone who's excited about being a part of a team and helping each other succeed, because when we all succeed, we're all going to obviously make more money. We're all going to be successful in anything that we do. And if someone says, no, I didn't play sports, right? Say, got you. I completely understand. Well, that's not a prerequisite or anything to the position, but we tend to lean towards people who did play team sports because of the before mentioned reasons, right?
Yeah.
And whether they played, a team sport or not, the point was you're getting the message across to them in the interviewing process of, look, if you didn't realize by now that this is what we're all about a team environment, we're all about lifting each other up and actually succeeding together, then this is your opportunity to get in that mode. Because the next time we sit down and we go through training or we meet for a second interview or whatever it may be, if you haven't flipped that switch, I'm going with the other guy, just the way it is. Yep. And I guarantee you that's what they've seen in Evan Williams, was that type of person that, hey, this guy wants to be a part of something special and not just a part of something for himself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, you're only strong as your weakest link, and if you don't have a weak link and your team is made up of guys that pick each other up and they don't drag each other down, then you're going to find success. And he's not a me guy. He's a team guy. And that was the one thing that, seeing him early on at training camp, that's what stood out to me, is just he doesn't carry himself like a rookie. You know what I mean? He's a total pro already. And, we're 8 games into the season here. So, or 9 games into the season. And I firmly believe he's just going to continue to get better. He'll be a guy in a couple of years that, this league talks about the same way we talk about, McKinney. Honestly, yeah. I really feel that way. So hopefully he sees the field soon, man. Love to get him back for the Bears, especially going up against Caleb again, like Nate's saying here. Awesome. He gets to play Caleb again, knows his tendencies. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. He knows better than anyone, Tim, that all you got to do is poke at that ball, man, because Caleb will fumble. He will fumble. Yep. And you can bet your rear end, if he gets a chance to tackle Caleb, he's going to be swatting at that ball, because it was all over that Oregon USC tape. And you've seen it this year with Caleb too. Like, he showed some serious progression a couple of weeks ago, and then last week he took a little step back, and he's becoming a little more careless, running around in circles rather than just throwing the ball away, living to play another down. Hell, he's running around so much. DJ Moore's like, I'm done. I'm going to go over here and sit on the bench now, even though the play is still going on.
You got to think Hafley's going to dial up the pressures in this matchup, because that's going to favor our defense for sure. I would definitely anticipate some fire zone blitzes and maybe even the patented safety blitz. Maybe we'll send Evan down, send him on a safety blitz, and have Caleb running for his life again, just like the old college days. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And, as you're saying that, firing, keying up the blitz on Caleb Williams, I do get a little bit nervous, because Caleb makes his best plays improvising. To me, it almost feels like you were saying, fire zone blitzes, but do what Hafley's been doing with only bringing 4, maybe 5, and keeping plenty into coverage, to where Caleb's going to hesitate. What you want him to do, you want Caleb to stay within the well, and you want in the back of his mind to know there's 7 defenders out there covering. And that little bit of hesitation gets you off your spot. It gets you behind schedule, and that's how you make mistakes. But I'm with you, man. If you lull Caleb to sleep with just 4-man rushes, and then all of a sudden you fire that nickel, or you fire that safety blitz.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Sugar it all day and then send it, Yeah,
absolutely.
And we've seen Hafley do that, right? We've seen him go from rushing 4 seemingly all game long to just dialing up pressures. So that's one thing I've always liked about the way he calls a game, is predictable is not a term you would use for a Jeff Hafley defense at all.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. Eric Sutherland says, I know he's not David Bakhtiari, but for a 7th rounder, we should be thankful for Rasheed Walker. He's done pretty well. Completely agree, Eric. Completely agree. And the thing with Rasheed is, Tim, if he was a 1st-round pick, we wouldn't be feeling like that. But the fact that he's a 7th-round pick is like, man, this dude's – I feel like he plays like a 3rd rounder, like a 3rd-round talent, right? Yep. And he's progressing. And listen, I know he makes mistakes, but like someone pointed out, I can't remember who it was in the chat. I think it was yesterday. They pointed out, the big negative you think with Rasheed Walker is the penalties. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's done really well controlling those penalties. Yep. So it's nice to see him, getting better there. So
and like I've said, and I'll say it again, and the same was true with Bakhtiari. If you got to get a holding penalty and save our quarterback from getting killed, then Absolutely. By all means, hold the guy. No complaints at all. We'll take the holding call instead of J Love on his back or something. You know, so
I completely agree, man. Let's see here. What else we got in the chat? Everybody following. Appreciate y'all swinging through. Prince in the chat says, difference between playing team sports and a business team is you can't be slapping butts in business. Trust me on that one.
Depends on what business you're in, I guess, right?
Depends on if you work for the Michael Scott Paper Company or not, right? I think no holds barred over there. All the pun intended, right? And Holmes MD1 in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. Says, hey, Clayton, Tim, I'm not afraid of Caleb Williams. Laughing emoji. Me neither, man. Me neither. And all the Caleb buzz died down, didn't it, Tim? Like everybody he is going to revolutionize the game. He's going to take the Chicago Bears and turn them into the franchise they were supposed to be. Now everybody there.
That's just the annual script that Bears fans say about their quarterback every.
And the national media, right? Like,
it's true. So. And it's almost not fair because, for all we know, Caleb could develop into a really good quarterback in this league. We don't know. My money's not on that, though, because he plays in Chicago and they ruin quarterbacks for a living. That's what they do down there. But, I mean, I'm with you, Clayton. We're not afraid of the guy, but we also can't write him off like he's not able to move the ball. We've seen them find some success this year. And honestly, man, it's really going to boil down to how well we execute offensively against that Bears defense, honestly. So I'm not worried about our guys handling, Caleb and the boys on their offense, but on the other side of the ball, man, we cannot shoot ourselves in the foot or we're going to have a tough ride.
And they're a great defense. There's no two ways about it, man. They're a really solid defense. So the other safety, obviously, in the safety room is Xavier McKinney, 89.5. He's got a pass rush grade of 77.8. Excuse me. The blitz, the sack that he got there on the safety blitz that one game. Coverage grade, 89.7. Run defense grade, 71.9. Just phenomenal. The guy. And when you look at his PFF grades, this is starting in 2020. 70, 75.4, 61.2, 87.5, 89.5. And Tim, his cap hit is not horrible either for arguably the best safety in the game. Now, when you look at where he's lined up, he is lined up in the box. Let's start with free safety. He's played free safety 335 snaps. He's been in the box safety 180 snaps. He's played slot corner 26 snaps. And he's lined up on the defensive line, mugging the defensive line 25 snaps. They got this guy all over the place too. And obviously, it's funny how if you broke down the percentage of snaps of him playing free safety as opposed to box and compare it to Evan Williams, I would say they're almost identical. The only difference is Evan Williams has played far fewer snaps, which is a good sign that Evan Williams is versatile like we think we've seen on the tape. So
that's like you've always talked about, in the modern NFL, like the whole free versus strong safety mentality is kind of out the window. It's almost like we talk about Mike linebacker now. You're looking for versatility at all these positions. And the more guys you have that are capable of it, the better off you're going to be because crap happens, right? Guys get hurt, things happen during a season. And, you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel every single time somebody goes down. So if it's next man up, you want that next man up to be able to step in and do a lot of those same things. So, having guys that are not one dimensional, especially on the defense is so huge. And man, X is just, he's a phenom, man, and this is one we all saw coming. The excitement when we picked him up was real and it was warranted. And it's nice to see him getting some recognition, league wide here. And he's tilting the field. Let's be honest. There's going to be teams that they're not going to throw that way when he's back there. They're going to avoid it like the plague. So, whether he's involved in the play or not. If that man is on the field, things are going to be a lot different. So we're blessed to have him here in Green Bay for sure.
And he's what we refer to when we're scouting other teams as Tuesday players, right? And I didn't coin that phrase. That was Bill Belichick 101. They would meet up on Tuesday. When you say a Tuesday player, the coaching staff meets on Tuesday, and they're going, okay, who are the players on this team that we've got to scheme around? On defense, we got to know exactly where they're at. On offense, we need to know how they like to deploy them, how they like to attack. Like if it's a receiver, if there's a receiver that's a Tuesday play, what are his top three route combinations, the passing concepts in which they use him, that they're having the most success. They'll dig in that way. They'll decide, do we need to bracket cover him or not, right? If it's a running back, do we need to stack the box, or do we need to play with a little outside leverage with some wide nine looks with a little extra emphasis on, hey, don't let them take the edge if they're a stretch zone run team, like outside zone run team, or do they like to run between the tackles? If they do, we need an extra hat in there. If they're going to be running duo, if they're going to be running, 0-1 trap, things like that. And the same thing with the passing game. You need to know, okay, this receiver, what are the passing concepts that he excels at? It doesn't mean he can't burn you on a route that he's not been having success with. It just simply means let's make them play left-handed. We know they've been having success doing this. Let's try to make them go in a different direction. And that's how you coach. That's how you scout as you go into the week playing the other team. That's why we try to look at, offensive personnel tendency. We like to look at the EPA, in which it's the best way to attack a defense. Like, where are they giving up the most EPA? Is it in 2x2 sets? Is it in trip sets, tray sets? What is it that you want to make sure that you're in? Because the reality is you can get in and out of pretty much every concept and every run scheme out of any formation if you've got a good coaching staff, right? If you're not one-dimensional. And that's something Matt LaFleur has done really well. Like if you want to run out a dub set and you say, I want to utilize an extra tight end, you can still go 2x2 with the 12 personnel. And if you look at a team and you say, okay, they really struggle. Let's say they struggle trips left, but they're really dominant in trips right on defense, stopping those two looks. Okay, cool. Well, let's lean on trips left since they're struggling to stop that, right? Okay, now when you look at the personnel EPA, okay, it just so happens that they struggle against 12 personnel because they're having to put an extra backer out there that isn't as good as their nickel corner. Okay, got it. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go double tray left? So we're attacking with tray left, trips left, 3 targets on the left side of the formation, but use the 2 inside targets as tight ends. So now you're forcing them into their base, making them play left-handed, and now you're forcing them into facing a trips left look or a tray left look, double tray left, and making them play left-handed in that regard too. So, again, all that comes back. That man right there knows what the hell he's doing. And, man, there's nobody in the league that's better at marrying up the run with the pass, run the same pass concepts and the same route combinations, just out of different personnel and different looks. It's a thing of beauty, man. Matt LaFleur is very, very underappreciated. Tim, I'm going to make a note here for tomorrow morning, something we haven't done in a while. We're going to go take a look at his winning percentage now, because remember, he's well over 50 games coached. Yep. And the reality is he's got one of the highest winning percentages in the history of the league, not just active, the history of the National Football League. So I'm going to write that in here, so we'll hit that tomorrow morning too.
Awesome.
But anything you want to add to that before we get ready to wrap up here, big dog?
No, I think it's true. I mean, Coach LaFleur is, I don't think it's going over the top and saying too much to say that in his own way, he's kind of revolutionizing offense in the NFL. If you think about the way he's kind of, running his scheme, like you said, he has the ability to get different results out of different looks and get different results out of the same looks. And it makes it real difficult. I'm sure defensive coordinators league-wide do not look forward to lining up against Matt LaFleur's offenses. And, those are things that go into play too when we talk about, man, I feel like Matt LaFleur could have been coach of the year once or twice here already in his tenure in Green Bay, and it hasn't happened. And, I think it's coming. It's going to have to because, bringing Lombardi home or not, you can't deny what this man's doing as a head coach. And, I was excited as hell when we brought him in, man. And absolutely nailed that hire, and just grateful that he's our head coach, man.
Yeah, for me, I was hesitant on the Matt LaFleur hire because we're all guilty of it. I know I'm as bad as anyone. As soon as they hired him, I went, okay, what did he do at his most recent stint? Boy, they sucked on offense in Tennessee. He was their OC. But I'm telling you, just like Evan Williams, they said he nailed the interview process. So
he was an OC on a team with a defensive head coach, which
exactly.
You and I talked about that.
And they didn't get along either.
No. In this new league, this new modern NFL, man, I think you're right, man. You want to have an offensive-minded head coach. There are a few defensive-minded guys that still find success. Mike Tomlin comes to mind off the top of my head right away. But that's becoming more and more of a smaller factor now. A lot of these high-powered teams in the NFL, man, they've got offensive-minded head coaches. And, the fact that Matty's calling the plays and he's the head coach, it's a more ideal situation, and it's no secret that that's why he's found success here. And, like you talked about in interviews, right, that there's another guy who absolutely nailed his interview, the most prepared candidate of everybody that the Packers interviewed. And I'm sure the Packers interviewed a lot of candidates, and we were pretty close there. I mean, we could have ended up with Josh McDaniels there, man, for a second. That would have been real scary. So I'm glad we made the right call, man. Shout out to Goody and Mark Murphy, man. Nailing it.
Holmes in the chat gives us a little teaser for tomorrow morning. He says Matt's record as Green Bay's head coach, 62-30, with a winning percentage of 674. What we're going to do.
So that's actually more than
65%.
65%. That's what we. And listen, I'm glad you hit that. Not enough people give Mark Murphy credit for that hire either. Everyone just assumes that was Goody's hire. That is not true. Mark Murphy, I'm sure Goody had input too, but Mark Murphy was the one who set out on that search to hire him. Yep. And I got to be real, at the time, I didn't have as much faith in Mark Murphy. When he hired him, I'm like, man, this doesn't make any sense. And the next thing you know, what was it, 13 wins, right? Was it back-to-back 13 wins?
And I think it's more impressive that, a lot of people gave him crap about, oh, well, you got Aaron Rodgers. You know how hard it is for a first-year head coach to walk into an organization like Green Bay and have a Hall of Fame GOAT type dude as your QB1, and you're trying to put in your new system. You're trying to change the regime. That was not an easy task, and we played some really damn good football during those couple of years. And that's a testament to Matt LaFleur and his flexibility and adaptability as a head coach too, and to get the best out of his talent. So really proud to have him here.
Zacchaeus in the chat says, what do you guys believe is the biggest reason Jordan Love is turning the ball over at a high rate? I think he tries too hard to go for the big play instead of just settling for the check down. I think it's some of that, Zacchaeus, but also it's going to take time. It's going to take starts. You got to. Matter of fact, Goody mentioned this when Jordan took over. He said you need something like 20 to 25 starts before you really know what you got in a quarterback. Pretty sure this is going to be his 26th start next week against the Bears. Pretty funny that he said that. But for me, it's about situational football. I think he's failing to understand, okay, this is Tom Brady laid it out perfect on the telecast if those were listening. Second and short, you don't have to throw that ball. Live to play the next down. Right, both the pick sixes this year, the one against Minnesota and the one against Detroit, it wasn't like he was going, man, I can fit it in there. It was more of on the run, pressured, just panicked and let it go, as opposed to taking the sack, getting to halftime last week, and then the one against Minnesota, rather than trying to hit Tucker Kraft, get that thing out of bounds. Now, he said he was trying to get it out of bounds. Maybe he was, just didn't put enough on it. But again, situational football, Zacchaeus, is what I think he's lacking there. And I think he can get that in time. Jordan Love is one of the brightest young quarterbacks in the league. Dude sharp as attack. There's no two ways about it. I also put some blame on LaFleur. LaFleur's got to be in his ear before that snap and saying, hey, Jordan, listen to me, bub. Shot play here, right? If it ain't there, just go down. We got 32 seconds till halftime. That you cannot turn the ball over here. Maybe he did, and LaFleur, being a great coach, didn't want to throw his guy under the bus. But he LaFleur's sticking up for him, man. He's sticking to his guns like Jordan is his guy. And I think that Jordan will repay him as we get a little later in the year for sure.
And I think if you're waiting around for for Jordan to settle for the check down, you're going to be waiting a long time. I don't think it's going to happen. Jordan wants to push that ball down the field, and I think he's going to continue to have that mentality. And you got to ride or die with it, man. Live by the gun, die by the gun, right? It is what it is. And when it works, it's great. When it doesn't, we get angry. But you talk about that Lions game, that pick he threw, that pick six. He was trying to throw a check down. He was panicking, trying to throw that last check down, which really wasn't there. So I think it's decision making under duress, and it'll, the less we put him in those situations, the better off we're going to be. But I think you're right. It comes with experience as a starting quarterback, right? You got to know when to chuck it or just eat it. And I think Jordan will get there. I really do. I've got faith in him.
Nug Detroit in the chat says, Love's trying hard. He wasn't 100% and terrible elements.
That's terrible.
Terrible elements, man. Absolutely terrible. Again, I think he'll be fine. But at the same time, if anyone gets in here and they want to talk about, hey, Jordan's struggling, these interceptions are inexcusable, I completely understand and I agree, man. You're right. Nobody's saying, no, it ain't it's a huge deal. That could quite possibly be what keeps us from going to that next level, is turning the ball over. Jordan knows that, and we're going to see here in the second half of the season if he can clean it up. If he can, we're going to have one of the hottest football teams in the league. If he don't, might miss out on the playoffs. That's the reality. So it's going to be a lot of fun seeing it unfold.
That's true.
All right, Bates, last one says, looks like Matt LaFleur is ranked 12th right now, all-time winning percentage. Nick Sirianni is at 10. What? Exactly. So we'll hit all that in the morning. We'll give you guys the list and kind of run it down all time and see kind of who's above him, who's right below him, that type of thing. But, Tim, you got anything else, man, before we wrap up here, bro?
No, I'm still trying to process Nick Sirianni being 10th.
Absolutely crazy, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll get back to you. I'll let you know when my brain stops freezing up.
It don't feel right, but I'm gonna hit Nick Sirianni.
Here's the guy.
Nah, that ain't a guy. All right, that's it, guys. Actually, we have one more comment I wanted to hit here. Nug Detroit said, "Go Lions! See y'all in the playoffs this year for sure. Appreciate you swinging through."
Look at that, Clay. We found the one respectful Lions fan. That's awesome. Shout out to Nug. What's up, man?
Tim has had a bad experience with Lion fans, Nug. But hey, man, you're welcome in here anytime you see us live. Drop in and hang out with us, man. Detroit's got a hell of a football team. You should be proud of, man. There's no doubt about that.
That's right.
It's just cool to see the North beating up the rest of the league right now. I love it, man. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Right. And I wanted to see that last year. I wanted to see a Detroit Green Bay NFC Championship game. Really did. Maybe we'll get it this year. You never know.
Yeah, we might do it. All right, gang, that's it. We will be back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Lambeau. I'm thinking we'll go a little later, Tim. Maybe like we usually go, 8:30 your time? We'll probably go 9:30 your time, maybe something like that.
Cool.
I'll send you a message or whatever, but let's plan on going a little bit later. I wanted to go a little closer to kickoff. What we're going to do, guys, we'll hit on a couple topics around the Packers, but we want to give you guys kind of, since the Packers aren't playing, we'll give you a week 9 kind of NFL kickoff show. We'll talk about the games that are going to be slated for the day, some of the playoff implications that may apply to the Packers season with some of those, and we'll give you kind of a rooting guide, the teams you want to root for tomorrow. It's going to be nice, Tim. Be able to watch some football tomorrow and not be stressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. At least for one more week, right?
Exactly. All right. We'll see y'all in the morning. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Give me a hand here, Tim, if you can.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go Pack, go.